My topic of choice was the effects of differing parental styles. In this presentation, I'd like to uncover what real-life people may believe about their upbringing and how it has affected them. What I hope to accomplish in this research is to bring to light how the early years of life can deeply affect an individual for better or for worse. Nature or nurture. So there's been a lot of debate on whether nature or nurture is the defining factor of how successful an individual will be later in life. So many theorists now believe that both play a role. In the textbook that we're reading in class by Lawrence Steinberg, there's an overwhelming amount of evidence about the significant impact of nurture. Parenting is the fundamental building block for children's nurturing needs. Those who have certain parenting styles growing up tend to behave in certain ways. For example, children who have an authoritative parent tend to grow up confident, successful, and happy. Those who grew up with an authoritarian parenting style can be more hostile or aggressive. Permissive parenting can lead to children who struggle academically and have low self-esteem. Uninvolved parenting can lead to children with low self-esteem. So the impact of nurture. At an early age, synaptic pruning takes place. An infant has twice the amount of synapses compared to an adult. And therefore, they discard most of their synapses at an early age due to certain neural pathways not being stimulated. The brain has plasticity, and especially at an early age, anything that the child and infant experiences affects the neural structure of the brain, whereas an adult brain is altered only slightly. Therefore, if a child is exposed to neglect or abuse at an early age, the brain fundamentally gets altered for worse. This change is significant because it's almost permanent and will likely lead to behavioral problems in the future. Whereas if the early years were pleasant with love for the child, they will most likely become a successful adult. What is the significance of this topic to me? This topic is very important to me because I know the effects of parenting styles that the effects of what the parenting styles can have on an individual long term, as well as how parenting styles have affected me firsthand. The effects of adverse parenting can cause a range of difficulties for the child under the roof of the authority figure. I believe it is essential for parents and future parents to learn the consequences of adverse parenting and how to parent correctly. So I interviewed two of my friends, and I asked them to describe their childhood and with just a few questions. So I asked my first friend, how would you describe your childhood? And she said, loving, and they had me check in and they checked in with her frequently and always knew where she was. And they had few guidelines and rules and were more like friends than parents, but she feels like she can be very open with them. They had high expectations for her, and they were disappointed when expectations were not met. However, they did not punish her with timeouts, usually only when she was really young, and and they did not like have like major consequences for her. They closely interacted with her as a child. They loosely disciplined her, and I believe she meant that they didn't really hit her or like have like major consequences for not meeting their expectations. So I asked her how her childhood has affected her as an adult, for better or for worse, and she says that her childhood has helped her to become a better person in general because they were so caring. They really tried to have her be creative, and so overall she believes that the parenting style that she had, which I believe was authoritarian, was really helped her to be a better person. And then I did have a second friend that I interviewed, and I asked her how to describe her childhood. She said it was really good. She had a lot of close friends and family. And I asked her how involved were her parents, and she said they were involved in school and her grades, but other than that, they were not very involved, but they did their best. And how she was disciplined, she said she was usually told what was right or wrong, and only when things would get really bad, they would get physical. I gave her a paper on the 4 different styles of parenting: authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and uninvolved, and I asked her which one she would choose, and she said she chose her parents were more uninvolved than anything. And I asked her, do you feel like you can now meet all the challenges that you face in life? She said she can meet them, but sometimes not very gracefully or successfully, and she believes that it is due to her childhood. So the goal of this research is to bring to light the consequences of adverse parenting and how parents can parent better. Because like in the last girl, although her parents were really uninvolved, she believes that she can still be kind of a successful adult, but it's harder for her to do so. I believe that if parenting is done right, it is the single most effective tool to combat like the world's problems, like war. There'd be less insecurity in people that will make them want to fight or just put up their defenses, and there'd be a lot more love in the world. To conclude, parental styles are very important in how someone will deal with life's challenges. And that is my presentation. Hope you like it.